Perhaps you're familiar with this scenario. Perhaps you've lived it. Maybe you're living it right now. We can't question the commitment of this guy, but we could question his ability to see what he's been given to make his next steps much easier. This caricature helps us to know what we mean by the natural in natural church development. In simple terms, we mean church development that is fruitful, unforced, sustainable. The kind that releases the potential of what God has provided, as opposed to trying to make things happen. When speaking of the unforced ways of the kingdom of God, Jesus encouraged us to see how the lilies of the field grow, and to notice that they don't toil or spin. He wasn't talking about taking a casual walk in the garden to get some fresh air after a hard day of ministry. The word he used for see is an intense form of investigation focused on understanding the way the lilies grow. We can learn something of these ways by considering the humble pot plant. Here are 4 things in the life of a pot plant that we can directly influence: the size of the pot, the nutrients, the water, and the location. In this example, the nutrients are good, the location is well suited, the size of the pot is not too bad. However, there's not a lot of water. So what do we expect to see? Well, all by itself, as Jesus says in Mark 4:28, the plant begins to grow. We don't stand over the top of it, pulling it out of the ground. It just does what comes naturally. After some time, its growth slows and the leaves begin to wilt. What do? That's right, we water it. And without any other toiling or spinning, the wilted leaves stand back up and the plant continues to grow, all by itself. A little later on, the plant's growth begins to slow down. What do we do now? Okay, so some people would say we should repot the plant into a larger pot. Don't they remember what we did last time that was so successful? We watered it. And not only do we have the proof of history on our side, but consider the biblical support. In the beginning, the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. Moses parted what to help his people escape? Water. And Jesus turned what into wine for his first miracle? That's right, water. And if all this proof was not enough, keep in mind that my grandfather donated the watering can that is mounted on the back wall of our church. Enough said. In the immortal words of one of our greatest church elders, we are a watering church. Okay, so you get the picture. As crazy as it is, people follow this kind of procedure all the time. But here's the thing. Not only will more water not help the plant, it may even damage the roots and therefore make it sick. Think about that. The very action that was once so clearly helpful for the growth of the plant will at another time harm it if something else is needed right now. Of course, what we must do is repot the plant, and with more room for its roots, the plant continues to grow all by itself until perhaps the seasons change and the plant needs more light. We relocate it and it continues to grow. This simple illustration shows the relationship of what God does and what we must do. We must remove barriers to allow God's desired growth to happen all by itself. In the words of the Apostle Paul, I planted the seed, Apollos watered, but God made it grow. These same dynamics apply for the living thing that is your church. Only in this case, the areas that are your responsibility are the 8 quality characteristics identified by Natural Church Development's global research. The inner terms on this diagram, the nouns, for example, relationships, leadership, structures, are the less interesting part here. They exist in every church in some form. The more interesting part, and what the NCD Church Survey tool measures, are the outer terms, the adjectives. So in this example, The question is not primarily something like how much ministry is going on, but whether that ministry is gift-based. That, along with all of the other adjectives, is the key. And, just like a potted plant, the least developed characteristic in your church is the one most holding back God's all-by-itself growth. With some very simple, consistent action steps in place, the quality of that least developed area can be improved. And in staying faithful to that partnership with God, those in and around your church will have the chance to keep journeying toward life in all its fullness together. So, which of the 8 quality characteristics come most naturally and least naturally to your church at the moment? Maybe it's time to find out. If you would like to learn more about natural church development, natural character development, or natural community development, please visit ncd.life.